welcome to season 2 of the Into the Flow podcast, now called the ITF Flowcast. So the first guest we have of 2021, we were nice enough to have Caleb join us. Caleb Thompson, you're out of La Crosse, Wisconsin, and you're the vice president of PH7, correct? I think it's, let me see here. I think that's what I had written down. Yeah, PH7 Pure Water Systems, Inc. So thanks so much for taking the time to join us. How's it over there in Wisconsin?
Oh, it's not too bad,
Yeah.
Same struggles everyone else is having. I'm actually quarantined right now, unfortunately. So I
Man,
had a little time to chat, so I figured we'd do
awesome.
it up.
Well, thanks for taking the time. We really appreciate it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into window cleaning? What did you do? What were your first jobs? How did you kind of get into this industry?
Okay, yeah. So I'm a second generation window cleaner. So my
Gotcha.
dad started a cleaning business back in the late 80s. I believe he started washing windows in about 88.
Hmm.
There was someone he knew that they used to do night cleaning, like in like hardware stores, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then he got into window cleaning shortly thereafter that. So he's owned a window cleaning company for quite a few years. I started helping him even when I was a little kid. I think I shared a picture on the page maybe a week or two ago. I was actually on the front page of the La Crosse Tribune when I was 4 years
Yeah.
old, helping my
Nice.
dad wash some businesses downtown. So I guess I've been doing it most of my life. He did shut the business down and move out to Colorado for 5-6 years, and he managed some big hog farming operations.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I think in '03 we moved back to Wisconsin, and shortly thereafter he got back into which is now all seasons window cleaning, and I've been doing that side of things since straight out of high school.
So you're running the family business now then?
Yeah,
All seasons.
yeah, we kind
Okay.
of we kind of are all own separate entities, and we sub from
Gotcha.
each other. So we're yeah, my dad started the window cleaning side, and then we work together. It works really well. We keep it in the family, and we'll get to that later when we talk about not
Sure.
biggering your business.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's all I get into.
our business model is vastly different than kind of the norm or the goal that most people have. So we'll
Yeah.
get into that a little bit later. So,
So what did you ever have thoughts of doing something other than window cleaning, or is this just kind of what you were going to do?
well, I think with my dad, he needed one of us boys to kind of take over, and it just kind of fit more with me. I helped him all through the summers when I was young, and um, I had a nag for it. So I kind of knew that was going to be what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've added in the soft washing, pressure washing side of
Gotcha.
things more so. And now we also do PH7 Pure Water Systems, my cousin and I. But my dad is actually trained in my whole family. We have 5, 6, 7 different window cleaning companies spread out through
Wow.
the Midwest. My whole family basically owns some kind of cleaning company.
Oh, it's amazing.
Um, so yeah, that's I mean, everyone wants something a little more prestigious in their life. So I've had, growing up, I had thoughts of wanting to do something else. Because I mean, being a cleaner of any sort, it's not a super prestigious job, but it's good to stay humble and it's good to get in a good day's work. So I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I like being outside. So I really don't have any ideas of really changing much.
Yeah. Well, I don't even necessarily think of like, oh, I want to get a better job that's not clean, but just, sometimes, when you grow up in a business, sometimes anything sounds better than what your family does, So I know my daughter, although I've taken her a couple jobs just, real quick and I'm trying to teach her how to fan, but she's caught between so she's going to be a window cleaning veterinarian is what she says. So we'll see how
Oh
that
yeah.
works out, all those window cleaning veterinarian businesses you see popping up all over the place. But yeah, we'll see. I told her that she doesn't have to be a window cleaner, but she's going to learn how to clean a window. She's going to learn how to handle a squeegee. She's going to know how to fan. So she's kind of resigned to that fact, but we'll see if she decides to join the company or not when she gets of age. So how did you get into a PH7 pure water? Because I know it's kind of a pretty innovative way to get the pure water. Tell me a little bit about it. How did you get involved, and what makes it so special?
So PH7, it's just my cousin Frank Myron and I. So depending on how you know him, you either know him as Frank or Myron. His first name's Frank, but his dad's name's Frank. His grandpa's Frank. His great
Gotcha.
grandpa was Frank. So I think he's Frank the fifth.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. So my whole family calls him Myron. So then there's a confusion there all the time because for work he goes by Frank, and I've never called him Frank in my life. But yeah, it started off. He actually learned from my dad to get into window cleaning. He's a AMC master automotive technician
Oh
by
wow.
trade originally, but he got into window cleaning and eventually got out of auto mechanics. And we had got into water fed.
Hmm.
And he had tested it a little bit with us, and it was just we bought our first system. It's been a while now, maybe 8 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
Not right when they kind of first started getting big, but pretty soon thereafter. And obviously, it was something he wanted to look into, get into. He really loves figuring out how things work. He's an inventor by nature. If anyone ever talks to that guy, the boy knows more about water than anyone I've ever met. So he just decided to build his own because starting his business, he didn't have the funds to buy, and the systems they were very expensive at the beginning, even for somewhat of a simple system. So he didn't have the startup costs to do that. So he decided, hey, I'm going to try to build my own. And over the course of a couple of years, he used his own equipment, and then he had people asking, hey, could you build me one? Our first sale was a friend in Colorado who wanted him to build one. And so then we got together one day and says, hey, why don't we make a go of this and design what we feel would be the perfect pure water cart. And everything we build on it is designed in a way to be efficient and benefit you as the window cleaner. So the basic idea is we build them right here in the United States. The only fully welded 304 stainless steel cart in the world that I'm aware of, at least in a retail setting. It's just built with all universal fittings, filters, built to be durable, used and abused. The best comment that we've got on it is it's employee proof. We had a big company out of Madison, Wisconsin. They've dumped one off the back of their truck twice.
Oh my gosh.
The same one, and it racked
Wow.
the frame the second time, but you bolt on a few filters that you could find at a local hardware store and you're rearing to go right away. So, I guess I don't know. I lost track of where I was going. But yeah, that's where PH7 came from. It's just Myron and I, or Frank. That's another benefit. If you ever deal with us, you're going to talk to me, you're going to talk to him.
So was Frank the guy that was at that I mean when I saw you guys at the IWCA? Is he the one who was with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct.
yeah, I got to talk to him for a little bit. Yeah, he's a real nice guy.
Yep, and we're first cousins, so family business once again.
Yeah, very cool. So like who are your clients? Like who's contacting you? Is there just an area, or are you able to reach out? I mean, as the IWCA being at the conventions, being able to get your name out a little bit?
Oh yeah, we sell nationwide. We don't sell out of country. It's just kind of just not something we've really got into too much. Just exporting stuff is expensive.
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah, we've had opportunities in the past to get with distributors and stuff, but as we talk about like that second topic I was going to say about not biggering your business, we chose to stay small, keep it in house. But yeah, we definitely sell a lot in the Midwest. A lot of the local guys, they come to us because we're within driving distance a lot of times. Give them a little bit off, save on shipping, even though we do ship for free nationwide as well. But we love guys who do research. That's our clientele because we're not easy to find necessarily. You know what I mean? We're not on all the distributors' websites where if you do your research, you're going to find us. And we like guys that do their research, that understand things. And typically that's where our sales come from, is guys looking into things and finding our old YouTube videos from the garage from a couple of years ago, which we need to really update. And there's been a lot of questions too about our website's been done for pretty much been down for like the entirety of 2020. So I don't know. We still can't keep stuff in stock. So I am afraid to launch the website and see what happens, but I don't know. Kind of like with window cleaning, word of mouth is the biggest thing. A couple big companies get them, they like it, their employees like it, and they keep buying them. So yeah, we don't do a lot of advertisement. We kind of to let the product speak for itself. We're not good salesmen. If you want to buy PH7, you can buy one. If you want to buy something else, that's fine.
That's what I've noticed, because obviously, we got the brands that are out there that are, we see advertised on ITF, and you know, you get the emails and you get the Facebook
Mm-hmm.
posts and everything, and I never see anything, you know.
You're never gonna see one
So
from PH7.
so
Nope,
yeah,
never will.
so what makes it innovative though? Because I know when I was talking with your uncle, or your second cousin, he was. It was blowing my mind with the stuff that he was telling me, and I'm not smart enough to understand it. So I don't know if you can put it in a way that's easy to understand,
All
because
right,
it just seemed
so
very, very cool. It was just
I
it
don't
was
I
really
don't
neat.
want to spend a half an hour talking about the Tech 7, the magic pipe, if you will. That's what
Yes,
everyone
yes,
calls it.
exactly.
Um, Basically, we're working on ways to wash at higher TDSs rather than needing to purify the water, being able to achieve a spot-free result and higher TDS to save on those consumables. And
Mm-hmm.
we actually are working on our solar system
Mm-hmm.
that uses this technology, that we're able to achieve spot-free cleaning results on solar panels consistently across the United States. We're thousands and thousands of panels deep in the testing, achieving spot-free results with no filters.
Nice.
So that's what's coming this next year.
Mhm.
And the basic idea behind it is, think of it as a computer. We're reprogramming the water to react in a way to act like pure water, even though it's not.
Hmm.
Increasing water shed off the glass, reducing spotting that way. And I don't want to delve into it too much. But yeah, that's what we're working on, and we've been working on it for years.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing is explaining it in a scientific way to get a patent on it and to get everything pushing forward. And that's what we've been working on and focusing on.
Awesome.
And
Very
that's our
cool.
innovative side. And our pure water system, we released the Gen 2 PH7 like a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just a high flow pumped system, very durable, universal, everything, filters you can buy right on Amazon.
Very cool.
Yep.
So with this high TDS system, I mean, I could totally see the use for that for solar. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
like perfect for solar. If you could get up there without any filters, oh my goodness, that would be awesome. Because
Reaction chambers, we're still
Mhm.
running the water through different systems, but it's not your standard RO or DI type system.
Right, right.
Yep.
Because that's what we know. You know, we know the
Yeah.
RODI, and you know,
Well,
any
that's
window
the
cleaner.
problem with solar panels. It's consistent.
Hmm.
Basically, every panel is the same surface. So
Yep.
that's where we're able to get that consistency. With glass, every window is different.
Right.
The different styles of glass, the different brands, the different coatings on glass. So that's a
Hmm.
whole nother thing. And certain glass
Hmm.
types, we're able to achieve that same result without the filters, but there's just less room for error. And
Hmm.
with cleaning, residential cleaning, commercial cleaning, with window cleaning, they need a perfect window. And if
Yeah,
you can't get that
exactly.
every time, so this technology isn't necessarily going to replace water purification for the window cleaning world. It really won't.
No.
But our systems do come equipped with that Tech 7, which has other benefits even to an RO system. It seems
Yeah.
to help the RO perform a little bit better, keeps it cleaner.
Oh,
It
okay.
helps reduce that, helps increase water shed off the glass, so it increases your dry time.
Gotcha.
Helps reduce spotting at higher TDS. Usually with the
Hmm.
Tech 7 in line, you can pretty much double the TDS you would normally start spotting at. I mean,
Interesting.
obviously, what's in the water is a factor too, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's what I mean with the solar panels, because you're not needing you know, it to be detailed. You just need it to be clean. You need to get the dirt
Mm-hmm.
off. You need to get the little bug spots off. That way you can have the most efficiency you can from that solar panel. So I mean, it's
You're right.
perfect for that environment, and that's an easier sell. You know, to already people when you're you know, you pull out a pure water system, no matter what it is, to a residential house, and they're already looking at you sideways, you know, because they don't
Oh
understand
yeah.
it. So
You gonna squeegee these water
yeah,
droplets off? Yeah,
exactly. I
no.
got called back one time. We did a commercial building, but I just taken over the account from another cleaner. He'd laddered the whole thing. I mean, it was a
Mm-hmm.
huge building, and I mean, it must have taken him about 8 hours to do that building. So I went over there with my pure water and clean, and we got a call back, and they said, "Oh, you left a window dirty." And so I went back, and you know, I asked to speak to the manager. Oh, can you just take me? We went and looked, and of course we look, and it's pretty, right? It looks great.
It hadn't
And what
dried yet. Yep.
happened was the lady who worked there in the office saw the spots after I was done and assumed that we left it dirty. So she called without waiting for the water to dry And then the
Mm-hmm.
next day we come, and of course it looks great, So then we didn't have any problems after that. But you're fighting that type of mentality. So yeah, I could see where you said you want to be, you don't want to have too much too much risk on there. You want to make sure you have some type of filtering when you're doing residential. So that makes sense. That's very cool. Well, so what percentage would you say then is your income, like PH7 versus your window cleaning company?
Oh, both Myron and I, or Frank, we're full-time window cleaning, pressure washing.
Gotcha.
PH7 is a side gig that we just build systems, custom build them here
Gotcha.
for people who want them. A lot of expense goes into starting a manufacturing company. So
Mm-hmm.
basically you sell one, you build two more, it's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
snowball effect in that way. We're doing well, especially we're doing it completely on our own. A lot of inventory. So I would say income wise, we don't really take any income as of yet. We're kind of letting that business build up. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, yeah. So yeah, we're window cleaners, pressure washing full time. That's what we do. That's what makes our, pays our bills, our bread and butter.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Well, now I guess this is probably a good time for us to segue into your not biggering your business. And so talk about that philosophy that you have. Like you said, it is contrary to most of us. Obviously, we're window cleaners generally are very independent, right? We do have a lot of people who are their single man crews, but most we have these visions of growing our business and getting it big. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what your philosophy is and what your goals are with your business?
Well, starting off, especially when I was younger, that was kind of, I had that same goal too, bigger business where I didn't have to work personally. Obviously that's the goal for everyone. Get off the glass, they say,
Yes.
get off the
That's
wand,
mine.
power washing. Everyone says it. Um, but quite frankly, I hate book work. I hate scheduling. I hate phone calls. I hate office work. I just do. And the more work and the bigger your company gets, the more and more of that there
Mm-hmm.
is, and then you're hiring people for that as well. But with my business, I took a step back and I started looking into our different areas of revenue, our different jobs, different styles of jobs, what we were doing, what was the hourly income coming in from my route work, from my residential, from my pressure washing, from my large commercial properties. Where is my niche? I had to find that niche market for me and my area. um, and what I notice, a lot of guys build their business on route work, which is fine. And the reason for that is if you got to hire guys, you want repeat business, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly,
Mm-hmm.
quarterly accounts. That's your bread and butter because you always know that that income's going to be there. You can pay your bills with it, and that sort of sense of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Comfort, or
Yeah, just security.
knowing security. Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
looking for. That sense of security is there. But this last year, I actually gave away all of my route. It's gone, all
Mm-hmm.
of it. Because when I was looking in the books, route makes like less than half the dollar value per hour
Mm-hmm.
than residential. And residential window cleaning is like half of what residential pressure washing is. And then half again what commercial is. Large commercial,
Mm-hmm.
not route
Mm-hmm.
style stuff.
Right.
And a lot of this kind of started spiraling because of like this whole pandemic. A lot of your route style work. I know one buddy here who owns the biggest probably window cleaning company in my area. We're good friends. He owns a PH7, sell to your competition. Uh, but I talked to him a little bit, and they're having a little bit of problems with their route because they have guys that literally their full-time job is the route, their weekly routes.
Yeah.
And a lot of these small businesses are suffering right now,
Right.
especially restaurants in
Mm-hmm.
this. So what's one of the first things that's going to go? Washing your windows. If you're not making money, you're not going to pay
Mm-hmm.
someone to keep those windows clean. So
Yeah.
um, I gave him a lot of my route because I was looking at it, the amount of time I spent in a year on route and the average dollar amount that came in for those
Mm-hmm.
hours, I could make that money back or more in less than half the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking at everything in hourly, just time increments, because for me, time is the most valuable currency we have. I'm young now, I'm healthy now. I need to live my life now. Why kill myself working to try to make this empire so I can have money when I'm 60, 70 years old. I mean, obviously planning for retirement is still important. You can't just waste your money and time with that attitude. But it made me think about efficiency and just finding that niche. Where do I make my better money? So I started eliminating these jobs that were on that lower end of the spectrum. Started just getting rid of that. And then, you know, with residential too, another mistake a lot of people do is they don't up their prices. I know my dad might get mad for me saying it, but for years he never upped his prices.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you build a friendship with your clients, especially like we have clients that his first client we still have from 88. We're still doing her house.
That's awesome.
So not upping your prices is another problem. You got to obviously tailor it to your area. You can't just charge whatever you want.
Right.
There's going to be a limit to that. But finding that niche for yourself, simplifying your business and increasing your revenue that way. This year, you know, our business used to be we're still pretty small. We've never really, it's hard to find good help, especially keep good help in such a seasonal environment that we live in. You know, it's winter 6 months out of the year. You know what I mean? And there's solid 3 months where it's barely ever above freezing. So that's another issue with growing a big business in Wisconsin. And you can ask guys about that too. So we went from 2, 8-hour full-time guys plus, 1 part-time guy, and we made X amount. And now trimming that fat and finding that niche market, all I do now is residential, window cleaning, pressure washing, and then large commercial. I don't do any route. I got rid of basically all that. So my hourly averages got a lot higher. Now with 2 guys running an average of 6 hours a day, I actually made more this year than we used to running 2 guys 8 hours a day plus another 3-day-a-week guy.
Yeah, with less headache.
With less headache, because that's the thing. When you increase the ticket amount on your bills, that's less paperwork, that's less office work, it's less phone calls. And residential, you leave the bill, or you can email them a statement, they can pay right there. It's in and out, you get paid right away. Now large commercial is a little different. A lot of times you're waiting for those big checks, but this year has been a stressful year for everyone with the pandemic but my work this year has been super enjoyable.
Awesome.
I also built a new van setup with a static tank and everything. So I've eliminated all my setup times, and working by yourself is technically the most efficient, but that's who likes that. So we do 2-man crew, got it down to a science, and we can do 8-9 hours worth of work in 5-6 hours most days.
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to push that and just push that pedal every day to work 8-9 hours every day, what's wrong with 5 or 6? We still run Monday through Friday, but because of these changes in like these, let's see here, what was I going to say? Limiting those lower paying jobs, why push for volume of work over quality of work? You know what I mean? Find the jobs you want and keep those.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with area as well. I know for some areas, route work is very profitable. In mine, it's not. In mine, there's so much competition with the smaller companies. They want the routes, so I mean, they charge dirt, and I do still have a small route. What I did very similar to what you did. I didn't get rid of everything because I did have some really good, solid commercial accounts that I did every month. So I kept those, but I shrunk mine by maybe 2. I was like a third of what it was, and the rest I either sold or I gave away to other friends. Smaller accounts that really, for me it wasn't worth doing. But what I found was there is value in some, at least when you're bigger. I'm not big by any means. But I do. Right now we're running. It's our busy season. We run 4 crews. But when in Arizona, we can work year round. So we don't have an off season, but we do have a slow season. So it is nice to have that route work so that you can give your guys something to do, so you're not making a lot of money, but you have work. You're keeping the guys from going to somewhere else and working somewhere else, taking another job. Although I tell my guys during the summer when we slow down, if you guys want to quit and go do something else for a couple months, I will hire you back. Your job is safe as soon as our busy season starts up again in October, but if you want to go do something else and work full time, I can't guarantee that I'm going to have the work during this time. Although funny enough, with COVID, this slow season, well, I was busy. We had work every
Hmm.
single, we didn't have any, I think maybe a couple days we missed just, but it was because of rain. It wasn't because of not having the work.
Yeah, I
Um,
found that bizarre this year too. We were
yeah,
steady all year round,
yeah,
other
yeah.
than the month they shut us down.
Right, exactly. But I think a lot of it is because people are working from home, so they're seeing their glass, and it's bugging them more than it would if they were in a building somewhere, and they only get home when it's dark, and they don't really see the how dirty their windows are. Um, but I really I do I found that because I did the same thing with you when I looked at how much route work I had and what profit I was making from it. I'm like, I'm taking time away from when I could actually be working at a job that was more profitable, which for us is residential.
Yes.
We do have some large commercial buildings. They're not as profitable as residential, at least not on the whole. They're nice when I don't have work, when we're slow and we can get pop one of those big buildings in. But if I can have 4 crews running just on residential, that's our sweet spot. That's when we're making money.
Right.
And because right now our target and our market is the higher end houses. So I mean, we're making, 100 to $150 per man hour, so it's just nice to fit in that. But you're right, you have to kind of identify what fits for you in your market to find what is the most efficient way with less headaches, because having crews does have headaches. I'm first
Oh
to
yeah.
admit with that. um, but let me ask you a question though. So how old are you now?
30.
You're
Big
30.
3-0 this year. Yep.
So you turned 30. So now are you thinking about, like, you talked about saving for retirement? What is your goal? I mean, are you wanting to keep running the business, or when you can't do this physically anymore, or you're not wanting to do it physically anymore, are you just going to sell the business and just live off retirement? What's your plan?
Well, honestly, that's kind of where PH7 comes in. That's what we're building for, and that's why we're not taking any profit off that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, if we can transition to making enough off the manufacturing side of things to not have to actually work,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll sub out stuff. Maybe I'll start hiring again. But our biggest thing was trying to find employees. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I see it all the time. Everyone complains, I can't find good guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the good guys tend to not stay very long because something else comes along, or you got to pay them a lot, to
Mm-hmm.
keep them around. Um, but the big thing, like, goes back to with finding what makes you better money is a lot of guys are afraid to lose that route work for the slow season.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a very slow season. I have a dead season. So that was a fear for me too. January through March, I had, other than my week of route that I used to have, I had nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
so that scared me. But when I looked down and looked at the math, that week every month during the busy spring through fall season,
Mm-hmm.
just those extra days each month, I started penciling in. Even if I am not working the whole time, if I fill that with residential, because spring and fall I had too much work, so I either needed to hire bigger my business or I needed to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got rid of that route, which is a big. We kept some. We have the
Mm-hmm.
one large one left, and that's basically our only one.
Mm-hmm.
But we got rid of all the rest, and this year was kind of a guinea pig year because it's the first year we basically kind of got away from that.
Yeah.
But with that saved time during the busy season, I made more than if I worked through all
Right.
that slow season. And
Exactly.
so now, instead of working in the freezing cold a week a month through the winter, I don't have
Yeah.
to do it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I made more money. But that comes down into the key to success is learning how to say no to yourself
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
others.
And others.
And that applies to everything in life.
And
You
that
need to
that
be able to say no.
that goes against everything when especially when you start your own business and
Oh yeah.
you've got skin in the game, so to speak. Like you say, it is hard to say no, and sometimes when you say yes, it feels right, but you're
Hmm.
actually hurting yourself. And I think the biggest lesson I learned, which was the hardest lesson because I've been doing it for 20 years now, was about the saving, right? About
Oh
the
yeah.
like you said, if I give up my route work here to make more money, don't spend that money. That should go into the bank, right? Because
Yep.
that's what you would make. And if you do that, you're going to have money during the slow time, and you're not going to have to kill yourself
Hmm.
you know, because what happened with us is we hit our slow season, which was like mid-July to the end of September. And we're eating ramen noodles and we're putting stuff on the credit card and we're just dying. And then October comes, boom, this, you know, floodgates of money comes in, but we waste that whole 3 months trying to pay off the debt that we got during that slow time. And
Yep.
it took me about maybe 10 years to learn my lesson and get out of that cycle of
Yeah.
get into debt. And then when I should be saving money, when I should be making bank and actually profiting from the business, all I was doing was paying off debt. And then
Yep.
the busy season would end and I was at square one. You know, I had nothing to show for it. So you know, it was a hard lesson to say, you know what, instead of spending when you're making that, save it and then use that. And what I ended up doing, which was the best thing, was just going on salary. So I no longer took disbursements. I just get a, whether we make a whole bunch of money or we make a little bit of money, I get the same payment. And that helped to even it out a lot, because now I knew that this extra money that was for the business, that was going to, you know, build up the business, you know, pay off business debt, whatever we could. And then when, you know, I no longer had the highs and lows that were just killing me, you know,
Hmm.
and made me question why I had a business that whole
That's
time.
the exact same experience that I
Yeah.
had for probably a good 5 years, where
Hmm.
you you have your busy season right before winter, you make some money, you try to save a little bit for the winter, but then you go into debt over the winter. Then spring comes, you dig yourself back out, and guess what? By the time you're out of the debt, guess what? Slow season's around the
Yep.
corner again. And the other thing a lot of guys like is everyone likes new vehicles,
Hmm.
payments. Our entire society lives on credit.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing where I try to get away from. I actually sold my newer truck this year, got an old thing. I kind of learned that from Myron a little bit. He drives old beaters. I mean, he's a mechanic, so I mean he can fix them when they blow up. But that's I call them payments.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, so tailoring your income, your expenses to your income, and not the other
Sure.
way around.
Yep.
Lowering my monthly expenses made that idea of getting rid of some of that more reliable, reoccurring work, and it seemed to have paid off. Yeah, so yeah, that's interesting. I think a lot of guys go through that same thing. Saving
Hmm.
is a lot of problem. I mean, you got money in your pocket; it's money that
Yeah.
can be spent,
Yep.
and learning to say no is the hardest part. So
But
keeping it out of your
that's
hands.
to me, you know, I call that business maturity. You know, is not. I, I think the thing that I see guys doing, newer guys, but it doesn't have to be newer, because I've seen even guys who've been in the business for 10, 15 years do the same thing. Is it's funny, they can be so controlled in their life, in their personal life, but on business they are impulsive and they jump at things, you know, and the
Hmm.
sparkly thing comes. And I'm so glad I have my wife as a soundboard, because she stops me from being impulsive, you know, because she's got the wide view of the business, whereas I have the day-to-day view of the business. And you know, I also have a lot of really good friends who are very smart with money. And so I you know, I have a big purchase, I always bounce it off of people. And you know, I'm like, okay, this would cost me 5,000. The other friends are like, hey, yeah, but we could do it this way for like 1,000. You know, why would you spend 5,000? You know, it takes a little more work here, but you can get the same thing done. It's gonna be same quality, and you save this much money for the business. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. You know, but if I was impulsive, I would have just seen the 5,000 thing and just gone for it. You know,
Hmm.
and so that it's that business maturity to be able to make the decisions that are in the best interest of the business long term, as opposed to something that may satisfy an immediate problem that you have that honestly may not be there in 3 months. You know, it
Right.
may work itself out. But that, you know, that just takes that self-control that I think a lot of especially new business owners don't have, because I think there's a lot of panic, you know, that and just feelings of uncertainty that come when you first start your own business, you know, which is understandable. And I think that's why groups like ITF are so priceless, because you're surrounded by those people who have that wisdom and discernment, you know, and are able to help, you know, newer people make the smarter decisions that won't sink them in a hole or put them in a hole that's going to take them years to get out of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good.
with your business, so you said, you know, you streamline everything as much as you can. So uh, uh, do you work up until you have what you need to get your normal bills paid or whatever, or do you have like a savings plan? What is your strategy?
Oh, for like the off season,
Mm-hmm.
like when do I stop working? I don't have a date. I stop. If the weather's
Okay.
above freezing, I keep scheduling houses. And I have enough, new clients coming in that usually I can keep working. I've worked pretty much every day, weather permitting, all the way up until December 1st. Um, and I still have some stuff to be scheduling. So it's not a set time period or a set
Mm-hmm.
dollar amount. I know how much I need. I need at least this much to survive.
Mm-hmm.
But usually I have that, you know,
Okay.
well in hand all the time. So it's more so I work until I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Once it starts getting below freezing, I that's my new cutoff. If it's like below freezing, I'm not gonna work exteriors. Um,
Yeah. In Tucson, it's below 40 and we're dying over here. So
I
we're
work
like,
I
it's so,
work in the
what is this?
40s.
What is this thing on my hand? It's cold. Why, how can we hold a squeegee when it's cold?
That's our temperature at least a third of the year.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm
Even our
sure.
busy
Yeah.
like October, November are usually pretty busy months
When li-
right before like the holidays and stuff.
literally when it hits 60, Tucsonans have sweaters on. They're already dressing for the cold.
It's like my
They're so
buddy
funny.
was visiting someone in California, and he on the radio they were advising about a wind chill advisory and people to dress in layers, wear your sweaters, wear your jackets, and it was like gonna be 40 above with the wind chill
That's
was
us,
40
man.
degrees. It's like,
That's us.
what?
Yeah.
It's 40
Uh,
degrees. I'm in a t-shirt outside working. It's like, ooh, that's nice.
yep, that's us. Of course, when it's in the hundreds and we're happy as a
Oh,
clam because it's not 110, and that's when we stand out on that end.
I don't do well. I would rather it be cold than hot. I
Yeah, yeah.
produce. I'm a furnace all the time.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for that. So the other thing that I wanted to talk with you about, as anybody who knows you in ITF, we know that you're really involved in CrossFit,
Oh
and
yeah.
you've done that. How long have you been doing CrossFit for?
Let's see here. December. I started in September, right when I turned 28. So it's been 2 to 2.5 years now.
Okay,
Not
very
quite
cool.
2.5, but a little over two. Yep.
Now, you've always been like active? Because I mean, you're in 30s, so I mean, obviously, you're not too far from your early 20s. Were you active like playing sports, working out, that type of thing, or what?
No, not really. I
No.
mean, in high school, I did some like powerlifting um, type stuff. So I lifted a little bit of weights back
Hmm.
then. Um, I guess I have an active lifestyle.
Mm.
Obviously, window cleaning is an active
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. I mean, I was fairly active and I like to do active things, snowboarding, wakeboarding, skateboarding
Hmm.
back in the day, things like that. So like I was active, but not in a exercise or fitness related way
Gotcha.
up until like I said, till I started having kids, dude. Started having kids at 23. Then you're raising babies. So you're at home all the time, drinking beer, watching TV, bouncing a baby. I started gaining weight. And then like I was tired all the time, even work, like climbing ladders. I'm like, good Lord, my belt is too tight, but my pants will fall down if with all my bucket on belt and stuff on. So it's like it just started getting to a point where I wasn't happy with how I looked. I couldn't perform like I normally would have before. And so like it got to after the second kid, it started getting worse. And that's where I decided a buddy of mine said, hey, why don't you try this? Because I had tried the whole gym thing. I was the standard
Hmm.
New Year's resolutionist person.
Yeah,
So, all
yeah,
right, it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
first of the
Uh-huh.
year. I'm gonna go hit the gym. I go 3, 4 times a week. I last like 4 weeks, maybe January. Lose 5 pounds, and then just,
Yep, yep.
work season starts up, spring hits, and then it's just gone. So he introduced me to that idea of CrossFit, which is more of a community based. It takes all the question out of it. You just show up. You
Hmm.
do the workouts that they prescribe, um, and it's just a neat way to get into it. Uh, so that I started, like I said, right when I turned 28, I started, and within 3 months, I saw a massive physical change and
Mm.
mental too. Because, uh, for me, I'm someone who needs to be outside. I need that
Hmm.
sunshine, that vitamin D. So it's like, especially living in Wisconsin,
Sure.
uh,
Yeah.
winters are long and there's not a lot to do outside, especially once you have kids. I used to snowboard and stuff, get outside. But when you have kids, especially little kids, it's cold, 20 below wind chill, you're not doing anything outside. So it's like I suffered with a lot of seasonal depression.
Right.
After that fall rush, it was just like a spiral. And then
Mm.
what else do you do but drink beer and sit home and watch TV?
Mhm.
sorry for yourself. So
Mhm.
it created an avenue to get out of that funk. And it taught me how to learn to, like I said before, you need to learn how to say no to yourself, because you're your biggest critic and you're your biggest obstacle. You can make an excuse to not do anything. The
Mhm.
biggest one is I don't have time. And that's baloney. We all are on our phones, we all watch TV. It doesn't take much to be active, an hour a day. We
Mhm.
can all find that. We have to make that time. It's not
Mhm.
just going to be there. You have to make it, but we all do have that time. So for me, getting those endorphins and exercising daily gave me an avenue to kind of, you express some, pent up energy, some, stuff like that. And then being active, it basically just completely went away. I basically treated my depression without any medication with exercise.
Mhm.
And, you know, the whole idea is if you're not getting enough sunlight and getting outside, eating nutritious whole foods, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, and exercising daily, you're really not giving yourself a chance to better yourself, or, mentally and physically.
Mhm.
And being we do a physical job, you are your best asset.
Mhm.
So taking care of yourself is taking care of your business. I think it goes
Mhm.
hand in hand, and it's
Mhm.
a necessity. It's a
Yeah.
necessity of life. And unfortunately, the American lifestyle, the way we eat, desk jobs. And that's another thing,
Yeah.
bigger in your business, getting off the glass. Guess what? You're sitting in a chair. It's bad for you, sitting all day.
Mhm.
Uh, so that's something I'm very passionate about. And through my fitness journeys, I've completely changed my body type. And you feel good about yourself. You feel good every day. You've got energy. You can breathe. And overall, I'm just a happier person. And that even portrayed in my work. I get more
Mhm.
work done. That's part of the efficiency too. Being in better shape. I can slam out work a lot faster. Don't get tired, and
Mhm.
it fights that burnout that a lot of guys get. At the end of the day, you're
Yeah.
tired. You don't want to do anything. But I don't let myself make excuses. I go to the gym.
Yeah, that's actually why I wanted to talk to you about CrossFit, because I think it's a counterintuitive concept to see exercise and physical activity as the antidote to being tired and to burning out, because logically you think I'm already exhausted and I'm already tired. If I work out, now I'm just going to push that exhaustion. I'm going to really hurt myself. So I need to take a break. I need to relax. I need to do something that's, going to be, viewed as like a reward for the hard work that I did today. Instead of viewing it as making the time to, you're investing in your body and you're
Mm-hmm.
getting it in tune so that not only can it handle the workload, but now you can handle the other stress and activities because you've released so much of it through the exercise. Now instead of it just being balled up in the back of your neck, and you're just like, oh, all tense, you've released that, and now you're in a better one physical state, but also mental state to now deal with whatever those issues might be. And it's a very counterintuitive I know it was for me for years.
Mm-hmm.
I was very physical growing up. I played soccer. I played basketball and baseball, and I was very active. I got married. We still stayed somewhat active. I wasn't nearly as much because obviously I had to work and do other things. And then in my late 20s, it was the Body for Life, I think was the system that my wife and I took. And we did that for about 3 years. And I did really well with it, with the eating and working out. And then we had our daughter, you know, and
Yep. Yep.
that was it. That was kind of, I don't want to say my downfall, but when my weight went up, I had always been consistently about 160, and but by the time I started losing weight, I was at 207, which I'm
Oh,
pretty small framed, you know.
that's a big difference there.
Yeah, and so I definitely I got to that point and I was like, okay, I got to do something now. So kind of same thing like with you. I was like, I got to do something. So I just did calorie counting. I started running
Mm-hmm.
again. I started working out, not real heavy, but enough that it was more than what I was doing. And like what you said, I was surprised even within just a couple months of doing that, how much more energy I had and how I wasn't dead at the end of the day.
Nutrition is huge too. I mean, the
Yeah. Oh.
saying "you are what you eat," it is true. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you change your diet and start eating just whole foods, stick to the edges of the grocery store, stay away from the processed stuff in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd be surprised, even without calorie counting, how
Yes.
much better you're gonna feel.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
Well, it's like even just vegetable. You can eat as many vegetables as you want all
You
day
can't
long,
oh, you
and you're
can't eat too many calories of vegetables.
you
It is
can't.
impossible.
Yeah, yeah.
You will be way too full.
You'll still have less than one hamburger. One, you less calories, no fat, no, no
Mhm.
sodium, and it's just. But it's that mindset. It's that mindset of I need this. My body craves it. If I eat vegetables, I'm gonna feel still like I'm hungry, and not realizing that after if you just stick with it, your body gets used to
Learning
it.
to say no to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes.
That is the
Exactly.
key to
Discipline.
success in literally everything's
Yep.
discipline.
Yep.
And that's where I felt that CrossFit gave me some more mental fortitude.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was working so hard in the gym, I said, like, well, why would I put that garbage in my body? That's just going to hinder me. I'm putting this much effort into this.
Mm-hmm.
I might as well do this. And so things started just clicking to line. I learned how to lose weight because like you, I was a small framed guy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at my heaviest, I peaked just over like 180. And then I learned to lose weight with intermittent fasting, and I got down to like 149, which is pretty
Mm,
light for me.
yeah.
But I still didn't feel good. You're basically
Yeah.
starving yourself. I mean,
Yes. Exactly.
it's not a healthy way to lose weight. I mean, it is intermittent fasting can be good. I still do a portion of it,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a totally different topic.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started doing exercises and trying to find something more sustainable, because the goal isn't honestly your weight doesn't matter. It's
Mm-hmm.
your body fat percentage and how you feel. That's what
How you feel?
matters.
Yep.
How you feel.
Yep.
So then that's where I found that by staying away from processed foods and just eating whole foods, exercising every day fairly intensely, you get this idea of once you get to that point, now you're maintaining. Maintaining is
Mm-hmm.
much easier than
Yeah.
losing.
Yes.
So once you're there, then it's easy to stay there. So just learning to say no and then like that mentality to better yourself every day when
Mm-hmm.
you start seeing progress. And that's what's great about CrossFit is you log everything.
Mm-hmm.
Your lifts
Mm-hmm.
amounts, your workout times, everything you do is compiled within an
Yes.
app and you can see progression and
Yes.
you're learning new movements. So it keeps you entertained in a social and a physical way, which is a great way to get that, hour of intense
Yeah.
exercise every day to help maintain a healthy lifestyle.
Well, man, I think you hit on something really important. For me, and I'm a pretty analytical guy, anyways. I like data.
Hmm.
I like to see charts. I like to see
Oh
lists,
yeah.
and that was probably the biggest contribution to me losing weight. Was I downloaded MyFitnessPal,
Oh
and
yeah.
I logged everything. And it was so funny because it was a education for me because the stuff that I had always thought as okay, I'm gonna eat this when I want to eat healthy. Like I'd go to like a Payway and get this rice bowl of shrimp, and I'm like 3,000 calories. That's 500 more than my daily allowance. And
Yep.
but I just never knew that. I just never checked the calorie, and I thought, oh, it's rice, it's shrimp, it's vegetables with a little bit of sauce in there. How is that not healthy? Not realizing that I'm just dumping calories in my stomach,
Oh yeah.
into my body. But that whole idea of because like the other thing that I had to get over with was weighing. I weighed myself every single day, and I every single day I weighed it, and you go up and down and up and down. And so what I stopped doing,
Once a week,
well
the same time.
what I did was I still weighed myself, but I didn't pay attention to it. And what I did was I started focusing on that average, that weekly
Hmm.
average. So every Sunday, what was my average? And that's once I started charting that instead of the worrying about the up and down, that's when I started to see, okay, there's progress there, but you have to see it, and you have to see when the numbers of what you're eating, what you're putting in, the sodium, the fat content, all of that stuff, and I just think for a lot of people it's scary for them. I think it's
The
I know.
hardest part is getting started,
Yeah.
quite frankly. I mean,
Hmm.
that's just with any positive habit. It takes several weeks of being very vigilant with it before it really sinks in and starts to become feeling natural.
Yeah, but it's so important especially like so I'm 46. um you know my body, as far as my business is, it's my most important tool that I have for my business, and I could get away with a lot more stuff when I was in my 30s than I can now. And so, it's that being realistic and honest with yourself of, okay, I've realistically got about 5 more years of working at this level. I'm gonna have to stop, but do I want that to be an enjoyable 4 or 5 years, or am I gonna, give up and then go back to who I was, and then I'm gonna just start deteriorating, and I just, when I stay up on it, I feel good. I'm able to work, and I'm able to keep up with the young guys. And when I don't, I feel it. It's like that the fall off is so much more than when I was in my 30s, and I know it's just because I'm older, and it's like I have to acknowledge that fact. I have to acknowledge that it, be modest, that yeah, I feel young and my mind still feels like it's going 100 miles an hour, but my body does need more time, and I got to keep it I got to keep it in shape and maintained if I'm going to expect to still use it, the way that I have been.
And an interesting philosophy with like human performance. We do peak. Obviously there is a point where you
Hmm.
no longer are going to get fitter or better at certain things or
Hmm.
stronger in certain ways. Um, but the better shape you are in when you peak,
Hmm.
the longer you're going to be able to maintain before it starts dropping back off.
Hmm.
So it's important to do it when you're young. And I know, like you said, you get away with stuff when you're young,
Hmm.
but especially like look at like the American diet with type 2 diabetes, the amount of carbs and calories that we're eating that compounds over your lifetime. So the
Hmm.
sooner you start eating better, the more benefits you're going to reap in the long run as well.
Absolutely.
So that's like you got to look at things differently. Because honestly, how you feel and how your body, that the shape your body is in, is most important. Because
Hmm.
what else do you have that's more important than
Hmm.
the tools you literally use to make to live with?
Yeah.
If you don't feel good about yourself, are you really happy? You
Yeah.
can distract yourself with buying things or whatever you want to do, but none of that really matters. Money's temporary.
Hmm.
you know
Hmm.
Most of the wealthier people I know, they're some of the most depressed people I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't buy happiness. You can't.
Yep. In one of the previous podcasts with Dr. Tanya, she had talked a little bit about um, just how, what you put in is what you get out. So if you put junk in, that's what you're going to get out. And it's like as window cleaners, it's like we will spend an extra $200 for a better piece of equipment, because it's the quality that we need, or the brand that we work best with, that we're most comfortable with. But then we won't invest the time in helping our bodies to be at the peak that it could be, to last long, to have better quality of life as we get older. And and a lot of guys, their plan is they're just going to work at it as long as they can, and then when it's time to quit, they're just going to quit, and they're just going to let their business go and retire. And I don't see anything wrong with that. But at the end of that, if you've got all kinds of health problems at the end of that, and you're hurting and you need hospital care, well, now how are you going to pay for the hospital care? So if that is your plan, then do what you can to take care of your body now, so that when you get there, you're going to be in the best spot possible to lead those last few years that you're living, feeling good, and like you said, having those habits that can help to maintain that for a long period of time.
It's a lifestyle and it's a change that everyone should make. Everyone should be living a healthy lifestyle.
Hmm.
Diet, exercise, getting your sleep, drinking your water, like those points I made. If you just do that,
Hmm.
your quality of life is just going to go up.
Hmm.
There's another subject I wanted to touch on, especially with window cleaning. What's one of the biggest health problems with window cleaning? Repetitive motion work. It's
Hmm.
horrible for your body,
Hmm.
especially when I first started CrossFit. I was all lopsided. Like my right trap is humongous from that pull, but my left was tiny. And then like so even my femurs and stuff, my leg bones are shifted on the
Hmm.
right side because of how I stand. And this is stuff I've been trying to correct over 2 years now
Hmm.
because I'm unbalanced when it comes to like my muscle
Yeah,
distribution,
that's true.
posterior and anterior. I'm not using both sides because I'm right-handed.
Hmm.
Time's money. You got to be efficient. I do a little ambidextrous, but I'm faster and better on my right because I'm right-handed. So that's what you do. So that was like another fear I had with getting into CrossFit with intense weightlifting, you know, that type of um, that style of training.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, hey, I have tendonitis and it flares up every fall and the weather
Mm-hmm.
changes. Like, is this going to make this worse? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's times where couldn't even carry a bucket. It's like, I'd wear
Mm-hmm.
my brace for a few weeks. So I was worried about that. But interestingly enough, the more I exercise, and my doctor kind of explained it to me with tendonitis, basically your tendons get inflamed from overuse,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they're in their channels, they're bigger than they should be, they're inflamed, and so it hurts to grip, to move. That's just how it works. But as I exercised more and trained both sides of those muscles, your muscles get harder. It almost acts as a brace itself. I have not had a tendonitis flare since.
Mm-hmm.
Not one. So our bodies are made in a way we're meant to work. We're meant to move. We're not meant to sit all day, look at a screen.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how our bodies are. Our bodies are workhorses, and we just need to acclimate ourselves to that. And
Mm-hmm.
movement is good. Any movement is good movement.
Mm-hmm.
Get out and walk, get out and run.
Yeah.
Go lift weights if that's what you like to do. But it's you need to be, blood pumping, blood flowing. And that's what I noticed with my style of training. I train full body type stuff all the time. So now I'm more balanced out. I don't get that. I don't see those repercussions for such repetitive motion work
Mm-hmm.
anymore, which is huge. Because like I said, I couldn't even carry a bucket by the end of the fall.
Yeah.
And so it's like the off season's like, oh, finally I can wear a brace for 2 weeks and not move and it'll go away. But now, I mean, the last 2 years, it literally hasn't flared up. And that was a big fear with exercise. I thought this is going to make it worse, using it more is going to make it worse, but it actually fixed it,
Yeah.
oddly enough.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
I
interesting.
had about a tendonitis back when I first started, so I'd probably been doing about 2 years, and I had some real bad tendonitis in my uh uh forearms, and so the doctor was just like, just don't use the hand anymore. So I was like, okay. So I had to learn how to fan left-handed, and I did for like about 6 months. I just fanned with my left hand, and now I'm ambidextrous. Now I can fan both ways, and man, I had a lot of issues with it for the first maybe 8 years, kind of off and on. I haven't had tendinitis issues. I don't know why. I don't know if my arms just got used to. I mean, it wasn't because I was working it out so much, but yeah,
Well,
I
if you're able
just,
to do both like that and
yeah.
evenly do it, it
Hmm.
just makes it that much easier.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't use my left a whole lot, but I still use it, and
Mhm.
sometimes I'll do it just to make sure I still got it, so I get a little bit of a break on there, but and I think also too, since I have crews, I let them do a lot of the more monotonous stuff, and I kind of focus on the harder or more challenging, more technically challenging jobs, so that's a lot less stress on my arms because I'm not just squeegee scrub, and I can kind of take so I think that's helped a lot as well. I've taken a lot of pressure off of it by just focusing on the harder stuff. But yeah,
I
no, it's
water fed almost everything, so
yeah,
that
you're
might
not
be
getting ready
part
for
of it too.
that. Very cool.
Hey, Flomies, this is Gabe. I'm just cutting into the interview briefly. If you remember earlier this year, Caleb had some pretty serious health issues that were tied with his working out. And because this podcast goes into a lot of detail about working out and fitness and health, we thought it would be important to give him an opportunity to just share a little bit about what happened and what some of the things that he learned from his experience. We're also going to talk a little bit more about the IWCA convention. And just so you also know, the second part, it was recorded a few weeks later, and for some reason my audio wasn't really good. We cleaned it up as much as possible, but you're going to notice the difference. So we apologize for that. But and we just thought it was really important to give him an opportunity to share his experience and what some of the things that he learned about it. So we're going to continue on with the interview, but this one is going to take place a few weeks after the first interview.
Hey, Flomy, this is Gabe again. Just wanted to touch base with Caleb. So this is about, I'd say about a month, right? Since we did our last, the original podcast, maybe 3 weeks or so.
Since we recorded the first one? Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, about that time. So since then, as you know, if you just listened, the podcast, a lot of it dealt with fitness and how it helps you and how it can be a positive thing. But those of you in ITF know, Caleb just recently had to go to the hospital he had a situation which he needed to pay attention to. So, Caleb, I just wanted to know if you could just give a little background of what you went through, what your experience was, what the cause was, and kind of what you've learned.
All right, yeah. So it was kind of a learning experience for me, considering I'd never really had any health problems really in my entire life. So what basically happened is Thursday evening, I went and did my workout, and I had a fitness challenge where it was a max effort assault bike sprint for a couple, like 2 minutes. Very short period of time, but those Echo bikes that we use, they're resistance based. So the harder you go, the more resistance it is. So it's kind of like it's a nasty piece of equipment. It's probably a lot of people's least favorite thing to do in the gym. But being a little guy, mass moves mass. I'm not super good at, that. So it's like, I knew my score wasn't going to be that good. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to put my head down and send it. And basically, I think my time was like 1:49 or something. I got off that bike, just collapsed, passed out for like 20 minutes, laid there for like an hour and a half. The gym owner called my wife and stuff. And I've felt, you can push yourself and get nauseous from workouts. That happens pretty often with people, but this just kept lasting, and then I finally got home, tried to sleep, couldn't sleep all night. And then the main issue why I ended up in the hospital the next morning is I couldn't take a sip of water without throwing it up.
Man.
So then I could just tell I was getting dehydrated. So I didn't know what it was. So anyway, I went to the ER, went to emergency, and they admitted me that night. I ended up in the hospital for like 3.5 days. Basically just pumping full of IVs. The severe dehydration was part of it. But what the kidney specialist told me is it was a little bit odd. There's a condition called I don't know how to even say the whole word, rhabdomolasis, or we just call it rhabdo. It's a rare thing that can happen in like, especially an elite fitness industry, CrossFit. It has happened. There's like less than 200,000 cases a year worldwide. But the main thing that causes rhabdo is actually drug overdoses. Basically, anytime you pump something into your bloodstream that your kidneys can't filter out and it damages them is basically the idea. But with exercise-induced rhabdo, it's that protein that your muscles excrete, that myoglobin. So such severe muscle breakdown so fast that it basically poisoned my kidneys.
Wow.
And so that's what it was, is my body was shutting down other functions, just trying to repair the kidneys and stuff. But what was interesting is the kidney specialist said that normally your numbers would be even more elevated than mine were. So he was thinking there was something else going on other than just rhabdo, because it didn't make sense that I got it in that situation, especially being someone who's already conditioned and who does things like that all the time. Typically, people who get rhabdo are maybe athletes that were very fit and then they took time off and they came back and tried to pick up where they left off.
Sure.
Or sometimes really strong guys that don't have any cardiovascular ability, they can do it too. Because basically it gets to a point where your body is strong enough and your cardiovascular ability is enough where you can actually damage yourself. And that's basically what I did. But I had been taking a supplement called creatine, very common.
Right. Yeah, I've taken it before. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much everyone who's into fitness at all has taken it at some point. It does work. It helps with recovery, helps your muscles retain water weight. And I think that's part of the issue, because the doctor said that it seemed like I was in a mild dehydrative state for an extended period of time, where my kidneys were already being damaged over who knows how long. I wasn't drinking enough water, and I drink more water than anyone in my family, but my activity level, my work schedule, on top of being on that particular supplement, I needed to be drinking a lot more. And now knowing that there was warning signs the last few months, like a lot of lower back pain, I do like lower back centric workouts, and I just feel this like internal pain. I just thought my back was sore. And what it was is my kidneys were inflamed. So because they're already inflamed and I was mildly dehydrated, when I did that bike sprint, it really just sent me over the edge. So, and that's where I got that mild case of rhabdo, but also severe dehydration kind of thrown in together.
Sure.
They don't think there's going to be any permanent damage, but as of now, it looks good.
Yeah, that's good. So you were in there for 3 days, you said?
Yep, 3 days.
Yeah. And so what were you thinking during those 3 days?
I mean, the first 2 days is just trying to sleep at all. Like, it was just, you couldn't sleep. You couldn't lay on your back because it hurt. You couldn't lay on your side because it hurt. And then you're just so dehydrated. You can't eat nothing. You can't drink nothing without throwing up. So they're just pumping you full of IVs. Then your body's just getting swollen. But yeah, it's kind of a wake up experience to try to remember, you know, there's balance in everything. I've talked about that, you know, and also to be aware of what you're putting in your body. Something that is used, you know, in the fitness community worldwide. Many people are on that supplement. It's a good supplement for what it's used for, but it can have side effects that you're unaware of. I didn't realize I needed to be upping my water intake even more because I drink more water than pretty much anyone I know. So I didn't even think of that as a problem, but it was. So it's just interesting. At the worst, my kidney function was down to like 33-34%. Which is not like anywhere near dialysis or kidney failure or anything, but for a young, healthy guy, that's still pretty bad.
Yeah.
And then my doctor visit Wednesday. They put me right around that 90% mark, maybe better. They don't know where my baseline was, but doesn't look like any damage. Everything seems to be recovering good. I'm actually back to working out as of Monday. I worked out this whole week. Took it a little easier. Lost a little cardio, but back working out, feeling good. Worked last week, working this week.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Well, I think it's a good lesson on kind of just knowing our body, you know, and like you said, first educating yourself. So, you know, understanding what you're doing, what's involved with it, and then that way it can stay a positive experience and it can stay something that's building up. But like for me, I'm 46. I mean, you're still a young guy, you know. I'm 46. I'm in good shape. I'm a runner. I exercise, you know. But the times that I have been injured have always been when I was doing something that I'm not comfortable with. And I would do it with the same gusto of the stuff that I'm used to doing all the time, because it doesn't seem like it's that much difference, you know. And one time I had some stress fractures in my tibia, and I was running. There's this hill in Tucson called Tumamoc, and it's a pretty good incline. It's about a 700-foot climb in about 2 miles, 2.8 miles. Anyways, I entered this race, and I had run it before, you know. But this race, it went up and down twice. So I'd not done it twice before, or at least not running it. You know, I'd go up and then I'd walk up the second time, just because it's a pretty strenuous thing. So I did. On the way down, though, I was running down because I was in a race, and I never run down. I always just kind of either slow jog, or I even walk, or I go like a zigzag pattern. And it was those two downward runs that caused the fractures, you know. And again, it was just one of those things where I wasn't thinking, and I felt like I could do it. You know, I'd done it before. I'd run down those before, but it was that extra bit that caused the problem, you know. And I couldn't run I was out for, I want to say about 4 months. You know, it took about 6 months before I was able to run the way I had been before, you know. But you know, it was like one of those weird things. It didn't stop me. I could still work. I could still walk. I didn't have any pain when I walked, but every time I ran, it was painful, you know. And so it took a long time. It was a hard lesson to learn. But there's that important idea of just kind of being thoughtful and recognizing, hey, you know, being modest with what we are, and you know, that's just one of those things you just learn as you go.
Anyway, my mindset has changed a little bit to just get away from, you know, a lot of those supplements are kind of shortcuts. You know, you should get your dietary supplements should come from nutritious whole foods, fruits, vegetables. You can get all your vitamins and minerals from your actual diet, which is the better way to do things. It's just really hard,
right?
To get everything you need. That's why they make supplements and multivitamins, because in our Americanized diet, we don't eat, you know, well, really, a lot of processed food. So I think this year for me, I'm going to maybe try to focus more on like my diet, try to go more like whole food, stay away from the supplements completely. I'm going to do like a whole natural year. Not saying I have to eat organic or just natural foods, just, you know, getting away from those lab tested supplements, and just, I don't need to be some kind of monster. You know what I mean? Yeah. My goal is, I mean, I got little kids. I just want to be fit and healthy. I want to look good. I want to feel good. So my idea is just try an all natural year. Just try to get all my macros and all my nutrition from food, and maybe kick some of those supplements to the curb, because even my doctor didn't know exactly if there was a combination of medications I maybe was not allergic to, but had a
Mhm.
sensitivity to or something. And that's why my kidneys were getting inflamed. For some reason, they were inflamed and I was slightly dehydrated, and that's why this happened. So,
Yeah.
you know, if I don't know what it is, you just cut it all out and
Right.
move forward.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the thing about supplements too is, I mean, they're not really regulated, you know.
No.
One supplement, one brand to another, that supplement could be, you know, critically different. So, you know, like you said, I think it's always best you can get it naturally, you get it through your foods if you can. And Whole Foods, yes, definitely is the best way to do it. But I think the larger lesson for us as window cleaners is, you know, this happened in fitness, but this can happen at work. You know, we're up on that ladder and we decide to stretch over just because we don't want to climb all the way down to move the ladder. So we just stretch out just a little more and we have a fall. We're working with water fed, right? You know, and we, instead of, you know, moving over, we just bend it and then we pull our back trying to pull it, you know, pull that long pole, you know, back up. I mean, there's a number of things that we could do while we're working, but it's just a nice lesson. I really appreciated you sharing it because, you know, it could have been embarrassing. You know, it could have been something that you wanted to keep private, which you have every right to do, but your sharing it, I think, was very brave, and I think it'll help some people as well, just to kind of take a second thought before we make some decisions and make sure it doesn't cause anything that could have some whether short-term harm or long-term harm. You know, we want to avoid both if possible.
Right. And I'm pretty fortunate, you know, it's only been 4 weeks now and I'm pretty much back to normal in about 3 weeks later. You know, it could have been a lot longer. They said 4 to 12 weeks for organ damage and stuff, if ever, you know, in some circumstances. So I'm happy that it was mild in a sense where I'm getting back on my feet right away. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I'm really happy too, man. Thank you so much for coming back on just to share that. And again, just so happy that you're almost back to normal and back to 100%. And we just hope you continue on. So thanks so much. And also thanks for all your contributions in ITF too. We appreciate it.
Right. Quick question for you though, Gabe.
Yeah.
Have you guys rearranged with Orlando, with the whole change with the IWCA? What's your guys' plan?
Yeah, so it's, you know, the IWCA changed that. So ITF has nothing to do with that, you know, other than we're just promoting it. So yeah, it's going to be in Orlando. It's going to be in March. I forget the exact date, but it's, you know, it's on the page. So I mean, it's just one of those things where they feel that they can have safer standards over there. I guess the issue with Vegas was one. It was a lot more compact, the area in which they were going to have the convention. Now they are expecting a lot less people. So that's one thing. But the area was going to be pretty tight. And I guess the facilities in Orlando, they're going to be a lot more spread out. They're going to be able to have the same people in the same areas for a longer, you know, for an area, instead of the intermixing of individuals. They're going to have testing every single day. They're going to have, checks, temperature checks, that type of thing. So, you know, it's one of those things where I still haven't made my mind up yet if I'm going to go. My main thing is the plane ride, because, you know, in Vegas I was going to drive up because I'm in Arizona.
Right.
I was going to be able to be in my car and go up there, but now with the flight, I'm just really nervous about a flight in this time right now. You know, if I don't have.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at too. We had everything squared away for Vegas. I was going to be flying in and then shipping stuff in, and that all changed. That all got canceled. So now I got to decide Orlando.
Yeah.
I probably have to drive. I just don't have the arrangements for the shipping. I mean, I probably could figure it out, but
yeah,
I don't know. We're on the fence too. You know, we have a booth, but they've been pretty good about that. They'd let us credit it towards next year or anything if we wanted to, but I think we're going to try to go. It's still a decent time of year for us, pretty slow up north. So
yeah, I've got my reservations and stuff, but I'm kind of playing it by ear. I'm going to see how things are going, and you know, kind of go there. I may drive it. I just hate to drive that long, that far.
How far of a drive is it for you?
Gosh, it's gonna. I don't really know. I haven't figured it out yet, but I mean, it's going to be at least a couple day drive. You know, so that's there and back. I mean, I'd
think
fly
it's
that.
like 18 for me. 18 to 19, somewhere in there, which is bad, but it's not that bad.
But I mean, it's almost coast to coast for me, you know, because I mean, Arizona's West Coast, but it's close. It's close enough, you know.
I hate driving.
Me too. I can't stand driving. I can't, you know. So Vegas, I can handle that. You know, it's about an 8-hour drive. That's like going to LA, so it's not that big of a deal. But But anyways, yeah, I'm going to play it by ear. I'm going to wait. I would really love to go though. I mean, it's just, there's so much stuff that there's some training there I want to take. So that's what I was looking forward to. But again, we'll play it by ear. We'll just have to see how things go. And I'm just going to wait a little longer before I make a final decision. But I got everything in place in case I am able to go. And I really hope I get to.
And that's like on the retail side of things. If it's going to be such a small show,
yes.
At what point is, me spending 40 hours of driving and work to get down there? And, it's always been worthwhile on both the shows and stuff that we do every year. But this is kind of special circumstances. If there's going to be 50 people, that's a lot of effort for, you know what I mean?
I think they're expecting more than, they're probably expecting about 100 to 150. Normally it's in the 300 to 400 range. And I think last year, it was even more. I can't remember what their totals were. That was their most popular one that they've ever had was last year.
Oh, really?
It was pretty outstanding. Yeah. So it's going to be
our
significant.
first one.
Yeah.
First IWCA at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So it'll be significantly lower or less, less visitors, but they're hoping to still have a substantial amount, enough for it to be something that's helpful. But for me, it's the training. I really, there's a couple of training classes I really wanted to take. I was looking forward to taking. So we'll have to wait and see. But that goes to that modesty, right? Just, kind of knowing what your situation is and what risk you're able to take, So that's why I really want to play it by ear. My mom's health isn't super great. So right now she's okay. But things can change in a couple months, and if she's
and that's just with us too. We were worried about it, but my entire immediate family over the last month has all got COVID. My family is the only, like me, my wife, and 2 kids are the only ones that haven't had it.
Yeah.
We're not particularly worried, but the rest of my family, we had a couple. My parents are pretty high risk, but they're doing fine. They're pretty much recovered now. So a little bit of that worry is settled now because they all got it. Kind of worst case scenario already happened. So. Well, I think that'll ease us for a little bit.
It went through a big chunk of my family. Thankfully, immediately we didn't have, everyone was, didn't have to go to the hospital or anything like that. I did have a cousin who we lost. That was really hard. But I'm just my number one concern is my parents, mainly my mom, but my dad's older too. He's in good health, but he's older. But my mom, man, if she gets it, I can't see it's going to be good at all, so I'm really concerned about that. And then just a lot of friends right now. I just this morning, a friend of her grandmother, she lost her grandma to COVID, and she's talking to her on the phone, and it was her best friend, and you hear people, just dismissing because, it's just affecting the older people. Yeah, the older people, that's people's lives.
Still people. They're still someone's mother.
And still someone's, and just listening to her, sobbing, and it's just heartbreaking. So we got to be careful. And, like anything, it's one of those things you got to weigh your risk, and everyone's got to make their own decision on it. So I'm just going to wait till I get some more information before I make a specific decision. But, at IWCA, they're going to go out of their way to make sure it's as safe as possible for sure. And, the guys really, really working hard in overtime to try and still make it happen if it can. So. All right, buddy. Well, you take care, and thank you, Flomies, for listening in. And we are glad we got through the new Into the Flow Flowcast, ITF Flowcast, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care.